We'll start recording. Oh, I have to do this stuff. This is a regular meeting of the Hampton Board of Education on February 22nd, 2003. I'm Rose Bisson, Chair of the Board, and we will call to order at 7:05. And start with audience for citizens and staff. Is there anyone who would like to say anything? Then we're going to move on. Yes, Ann?
I wanted to make sure everybody knew that this is my last meeting officially as a board member, because I've had to resign because of my geographic location. I just wanted to share my appreciation with the board and my apologies for resigning at such an awkward time.
Well, thank you for serving over 20 years on the Board of Ed. And I don't think you owe us apologies at all for when you resign.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, Ann, thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Your time and expertise.
Well, I'm going to try to stay involved in some way or another, because I do appreciate the role.
So your resignation is number
Appreciate
8.
your-
You're number 8 on the agenda, and I thought we'd talk about maybe a way you could stay involved at that agenda item. How's that?
It's good.
Great, okay. Now, correspondence to the board. I have one.
I'm going to mute
us
now.
It's from Juan Areola. The school is aware that I will be unable to attend tomorrow's meeting. As to the budget, I reiterate my concern here that neither the Board of Finance or the taxpayers will support this level of increase. Please consider this a correspondence. Thank you, Juan. And that's all I have. Do you have anything, Dr. Sarli?
I do not.
Okay, so we will move on to superintendent's report.
Okay. So the first item that I want to discuss is not actually here. I wanted to give everybody an update on where we are with the science of reading real quick in relation to a really exciting opportunity we've engaged in, which is the Science of Reading Networked Improvement Committee. We're one of 5 districts that were chosen to be part of this committee. I applied for us to be part of this community. And we've had 3 professional development sessions so far. And it's just a wonderful opportunity for us to receive professional development on the science of reading. We have walkthroughs and site visits coming up in March. We're connecting with 4 other towns, which are East Hampton, Brooklyn, Clinton, and Summers. And so I just wanted to share that. And it's an exciting time for us to be part of that network. So don't want to forget that. Okay, so jumping into our discussion of the 23-24 draft budget. I apologize for the delay in getting it to you, but we wanted to be able to provide you those 2 updated figures as requested in our special board meeting. So you received that 2-pager not too long ago, earlier this afternoon, with a 3% and a 3.5% increase. What you also probably noticed was an increase because we had to adjust our health insurance. We had anticipated 20%, but it is going to be 25.7. So we had to adjust that. In addition, we did also in that time frame from last week into this week, we now know that 1 more staff member will be taking on the insurance. So all of that you will see reflected in those, both the 3% and the 3.5 is there. And the what is not there, so you saw by the insurance change and the addition of the member, and by insurance, I don't mean just the health insurance, but our dental policy also increased by 4%. So both of those changes had to be updated in here. So that's why you see a significant change from the last time that we looked at this. So the first one at the 3% is coming in at 5.15%, and the second one coming in at 5.26, and that's at 3.5%. So those are the two updates. Other than that, there's nothing else that changed. So I did not add in the 0.2 administrative assistant at this time, although I do have those figures available to discuss if we wanted to discuss it any further. But this is where our the two draft options that we discussed from our last meeting. I wanted you to have the availability to see those numbers today.
So did we say we wanted to dump the 5%?
Yeah, Rose, I had requested that we look into going to a 3% raise, which is more consistent with what the town is doing for all the town people. And then 3.5 came in because somebody pointed out that the town itself over the last 2 years has actually been 7%, which is not what we did last year. We did 3.5 last year versus 4. So the 3.5 would be exactly equivalent to what the town has done over the last 2 years.
But it would have taken the whole board or a majority of the board to request that we drop the 5. And I don't think I heard that. I just heard you. So I'm wondering how the 5 got dropped based on one board member.
Rose,
So-
I thought that that was what everybody requested, was to see that.
To see it. It's
yeah.
not, so the 5% is not dropped from consideration.
Right, you just don't see that reflected here. I apologize for not also having the 5% available.
Well, just in case it would be confusing to the public. I'm not even saying we'd go with 5/3, but I didn't hear the whole board request or a majority of the board request to dump it. Dave is waving his hand.
Rose, are we planning on voting on this tonight?
I thought that we wanted to try to do that, but it turns out, because we've had the changes in insurance, that it might be the wiser thing to wait until next month. And then if we get any other changes, are you feeling prepared to vote on it tonight, Dave?
No, because I've been thinking about it since the last meeting, and I'm inclined to agree with Mark. We should go with the lower percentage and be consistent with the town's increase, or else we're gonna have, they're gonna kick it back to us. The Board of Finance is gonna kick it back to us if we approve 5%. I don't see how it's gonna fly, even though I want to support the school and all that, as I said. Realistically, let's go with the 3%. That's what I'm
Okay,
thinking. I really don't want to vote on it tonight, but if everybody else wants to, we'll vote
So-
on it, I guess,
it's not listed on the agenda that we're gonna vote on it. So we can still think about it. And we can discuss it more under this item, I guess. How do other people think? Should we go with the 3%?
I think there's a rationale for going 3.5 since somebody, Kathy Donahue pointed out that the town went with 7% over 2 years. Mark pointed out we were at 3.5 last year. So I think we need to wait anyway to find out what's going on with an open enrollment for insurance. So I'm not ready to make a decision.
Okay,
I have to agree with Mark and Dave. I think it would be a good practice at this time,
what would be a good practice, Diane?
going for 3 to 3.5%.
Okay.
How about
So-
Matt? I see Matt's here. Haven't heard from him.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, we need the increase, but our best bet is probably to stick with the right around the what the town's doing. I think it'd be at least pushback from everything, and I'd love to see the biggest budget we could have, but I just know it's not realistic. And I'm fine with pushing the vote off just to see what else might come down the pike. But I think just these two new both budgets look good.
Okay, so we now have a majority of the board. So we'll be between 3 and 3.5. Decide the final one next month? Or do you all want to decide 3 or 3.5 now so that Sally can include our decision in any updates?
Can we hear again from Dr. Sarli what the changes were? Because I was trying to dig it out of my email. I had missed that
Sure.
email.
Yeah, sure, Mary Ellen. So we at the top, you could see it very clearly. One is the 3% and one is the 3.5%. So that's clearly stated at the top for our non-certified staff. The other changes that you'll see is dental insurance increased by 4%, which we previously hadn't projected for. So that changes there. And also health insurance, we had projected a 20% increase, but we now know that we're at 25.7. So that increase of 5.7 had to get added in there. So that was also added. And the last thing that is reflected in there is, as of right now, we know that we'll have at least one new member into the health insurance for the next school year. So that is also now calculated into the benefits line. So those are the changes that you see. Those are the only changes that you'll see from the last time that we looked at this.
Okay, thank you. Is there any money coming into for districts to purchase the reading books that, it's part of the budget?
There's supposed to be grants that are going to be made available to us. It was supposed to be in actually this month. They were supposed to make the applications available. I haven't seen them yet. So, but I'm looking for them.
And the other thing I noticed is not having the executive secretary time for the superintendent. And I guess I'd like to say, I'm assuming that's why we didn't get packets this month. And that an executive secretary could help provide board packets. Okay, does anyone else have anything to say on the budget?
So are we in agreement to drop the 5%?
I think we are, yes.
Okay, very good. Just so we're clear.
Yep. Okay, I'm sorry, Dr. Sarli. Would you go on with your report?
Sure can. The next item I had on there was the discussion and possible action for the 23-24 school year calendar. As you know, you did not receive that. I'm not ready to present that. So I will have that ready for you next month. HEA and our needs a little bit more time to look at that and make sure that everything we have for professional development dates and things like that are aligned with our neighbor towns for any collaboration that we foresee happening. Mark, I'm sorry, did you have a question?
We didn't approve that back in like November?
This is the school year calendar, not
Oh.
the Board of Education meeting dates.
No, I thought we did the other one too. Sorry.
That's okay. Nope, you haven't seen them yet. That's been just taking us a little bit of time. So I appreciate the patience. We should have that ready for you for next month. Well, really like next week, but we have to wait till next month. So again, I appreciate your patience on that. The last thing on here for my report is the data presentation. And so Mary Ellen had already started to ask some important questions that we're going to be able to discuss. I can either share my screen, or I think all of you have it available in your email, whichever is easier for you to look at. I think it might be easier if I share my screen, but
Yes.
If you don't mind.
I would like that, the screen.
very good. Just give me one moment. Okay. So as I spoke with you earlier, we're part of that network improvement community for the science of reading. And so while there's a lot of curricular program changes that are happening, what's also happening is there's different assessments that are dropped, like no longer accessible and or acceptable, excuse me, and other assessments that are now going to be deemed accessible as screening, reading screening assessments. iReady is one of the ones that is dropped, as well as NWEA, which are the two that we do utilize. So we will have to add in one of the new ones, and that's something we're also working through. So to jump into here, what you saw on that first page, is that too big? I don't know. I'm not sure how this is appearing on your screen, but you have two graphs in front of you. And so C1 was the first time that students took the assessment, and C2, so that's our fall data, and C2 is our winter data, is how we explain that. So C1 being the first time students took the assessment, and the second time being about 16 to 18 weeks post instruction to see how students are progressing through reading. The key below is helpful in understanding what the colors are reflective of. So the green with the stripes, as you see right here, is our students who are mid or above grade level. The green, just a solid green, is early on grade level. The yellow here is 1 grade level below. The red is 2 grade levels below, and the red with stripes is 3 or more grade levels below. And so what you'll see, and growth is really what we're looking for here when we take our benchmark data in the fall to where we are in the winter. This is assessing where students are in the grade level development at those particular time periods. And you'll already see that we're making progress in that the red is starting to become smaller, that yellow is moving in, as well as our green. So this is exactly what we want to see. This is for our non-educators, this is good growth data that we're seeing. We're seeing students move in the right direction. There's straight numbers, those are percentages, and sometimes percentages are hard, but remember, we're a really tiny school, and this is just grades 1 through 6 that you're seeing. I don't have kindergarten data available for you at this time. But so what you'll see is the numbers are written out right for you. So we had 5 students in the fall that were mid or above, and we're up to 11. And you'll see 11 students to 8, and that could be that flip into that 11, right? So there's some of that transitioning that happens here to here. You have 12 students to 19 students. Again, that's that transition from that red to yellow. You can see as that graph is moving down, the 8 to the 4 and the 7 to the 1. I think a question that I'm anticipating is this where our special education population is falling in that red category? And I just want to answer that up front, that we know, because we've been, our teachers have been diligently pulling this apart, that yes, that is our special education population. And so while that, that looks concerning, that doesn't mean they're not meeting their individualized educational plan goals. So I just want you to keep that in mind when you're looking at this data. There's a really nice breakdown of all the different components of reading that are occurring here. So you have all the breakdowns. So the phonological awareness, phonics, high frequency words, vocabulary, comprehension as an overall, and then broken down into the literature and informational text. And so this is very helpful information when teachers look at it. Again, you're looking at this holistically, like this is our whole school. Each teacher gets this bit by grade level. So they're able to really narrow down into where their students are struggling and the needs they have, as well as their strengths and things that they can play to make sure that we're building confidence as well as growing them. Okay. And then we're going to go down a little bit further here. I'm going to skip past kindergarten because I said we don't have that for kindergarten at this time, but we do have grades 1 through 6 available for this. I'm going to just need to rearrange my screen so I can see. Okay. And so again, the same key determination is placed here. And then you have your students assessed and the total students that were there. Okay. And so for each grade level, you're able to see, remember diagnostic 1 was that fall when they entered in the beginning of the school year, and diagnostic 2 being their most current winter data that they just took this test. So this is very current, kind of hot off the press data that we're looking at that teachers are diving into. And I also want to add that this data is used in so it's not just tier 1, but it also is used for tier 2 intervention. So when they're going into SRBI, this does play a part of knowing where kids need to grow, as I mentioned earlier. And so when they need that small group targeted instruction in a particular reading, they can group students accordingly so that they have that tier 2 intervention, which is that preventative SRBI a measure that we take. And the goal is to get students up to that level and out. So they cycle in and out as opposed to being in it for long periods of time. But that's also where we're able to identify students who are struggling or might need special education, and further testing might be needed once we enter tier 3 interventions and see in progress monitor that growth. I think I'm talking kind of fast, apologize for that. But you can see all of that data is available in grades 3, 4, 5, and 6 now on the screen. So before I close down my screen, if there's any questions that I can answer, I'd love to take that a moment to answer any questions. I also have our principals with us, as well as our special education directors. So we have some good heads here to answer any pressing questions that you may have. And if I make this a little smaller, you might be able to see everybody on the scene. There we go. All on the same page. Go ahead, Mark.
So just so I make sure I understand, so ideally, like if you were in a perfect world and you had the best students ever, or not that we don't have the best students ever, so I said that incorrectly, but like if nobody had any academic challenges, we would see a sea of green here, I'm guessing.
That would be correct.
Yeah, in reality, this is probably the scale that almost everybody has. There's some kids that need some additional help, some kids that get it, and some kids that are, excelling.
That's right, Mark. It's that bell curve that I talked about a few meetings ago, right? Where you have students struggling, you have students on the average, and then you have students on that above average. That creates that bell curve. We're just looking at it horizontally, I guess.
Right. And I will say there's been multiple newspaper articles this week, even with different districts around here. And I think there was a statement at the last board meeting about how Hampton has a tremendous amount of IEPs and special needs and special education. And we are not alone. There's spikes in multiple districts around here that it's not, maybe, I don't know if Hampton's high or not really in the grand scheme of things. There are a lot of districts that are seeing increases. So I feel like based on reading the news and listening to other areas here, I think it's something we have to be on top of, and I feel like you are, so I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, I want to note that a lot of the red is disappearing as you go from diagnostic 1 to diagnostic 2, and that's great to see. When the state says that we need to change our testing model, does that mean that next year we'll be using something different, and then we'll need to wait over the course of a year to be able to compare things?
That's a great question, Mary Ellen. It's something that we are talking and working through as a full school, because we do have this unique ability to be able to make that decision collectively. And so we would never want to overtest our students. So we would be looking to replace one of our measurements. Like I said, we do use NWEA and iReady. So we are using both of those components. We also had dabbled with Dibbles, and so we were able to get a baseline understanding of that as well, to see if that's an assessment we wanted to add and would be a missing component to maybe one of those tests at that time. So it's something we're researching to add into our, add in or really substitute out one of the no longer approved assessments.
So if you dropped NWEA for reading, you would keep it for math or anything else?
We
Possibly?
absolutely could. We absolutely would. Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Say that again, Ann. Did you get it?
Yes.
Ann said thank you for the report.
You're welcome. All right, Rose, you're muted. I'm not sure if you're aware.
Sorry, I wasn't aware. Does that conclude your presentation?
That does conclude my presentation at this time.
Thank you. Ms. Robertson, Principal's Report.
Hi. Knowing that Samantha was going to be doing the NWEA, or no, she did iReady. I got NWA in the brain. I just put the schedule of the SBAC assessments so that you could see that that is also coming up. It's a little earlier this year. And I personally am relieved that it is, because we'll be getting the data and the results for decision making sooner. And the only other thing is that you guys are always get excited about is that we, since our last meeting, we have 2 new students. One in pre-K and one in K, and on another one that's in the process of enrolling in pre-K.
Wow, that's great.
Yep.
So we've added 10 students since the fall.
Yeah, that's true.
Wonderful.
They seem to trickle in.
That's
And
okay.
there's sometimes a surprise, but yes.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Robertson.
Thank
Mrs.
you.
LaHoo. Mrs. LaHoo, Business Coordinators Report.
Good evening. Rose, did you realize that you didn't vote on the minutes?
No, I totally missed that. Thank you. We'll go back to it after your report.
Okay, so I did send out a written report as well as the financials. I wanted to point out that our Medicaid numbers are the highest that I've ever seen them here. Also to mention that if anyone has input on grants, that's always encouraged. And that we will make it through the year for our 22-23 budget. Several things have happened there that are helping us along. And if anyone has questions, fire away.
So I'll ask about the grants. By that, did you mean if anyone knows of a grant we should apply for, or did you mean if somebody wants to help us write a grant?
Actually, I didn't particularly mean either of those. What I mean there is if anyone has thoughts on how we should be using our multitude of grants, then that input is something that we're required to seek and would take into consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Sally,
Any
I could not
questions?
access the link that was in your report. If you
Okay.
could send it out as a link tomorrow or
Sure.
something, it'd be great.
Yep, I will send that out. Can you tell me what it said, Mary Ellen, when you tried to access it?
It didn't work at all.
Didn't work at all. Okay.
Okay, any questions for Mrs. LaHoo? Then we will move back to approval of minutes from 1/25/2023.
I'll move to approve.
That was Mary Ellen.
Yeah, I'll move to approve.
Second.
And Diane seconded. Great. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll take roll based on where you show up on my screen. Mary Ellen,
Yes,
Dave,
Yes,
Mark,
Abstain.
Matthew, Diane,
Yes.
Anne,
said yes.
great. The motion carries, 5 yays and 1 abstention. Okay. Now we'll go to board member resignation. So I was notified by the town clerk that Ann Ruenberg has resigned from the Board of Ed effective today. And so that brings up 2 things. One is, as Ann mentioned, she would like to still be involved. And one area that she has, that very involved with CABE was the, diversity, the subject of diversity. So it has been, there is precedent in Connecticut for former board members to stay on a committee. So I was wondering if it would be okay with the board if Ann stayed on our minority recruitment and retention subcommittee.
As a volunteer?
Yes. Yes, not as a board member, but as a volunteer.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Voted.
Matthew, I think you're muted.
No, I was just gonna say I'd be fine with that.
Okay, thank you.
Me too.
Okay,
I
Dave, what do you?
appreciate it.
Yes, Dave's fine with it. I'm fine with it. So that makes everyone, I think, everyone who's here. So Ann, we'd like to invite you to be here to be on our minority. What is it called? Minority Recruitment and Retention Subcommittee. Does that work for you?
I'd be delighted, thank you.
Great, thank you. And now we need to talk about replacing Ann. I would like to put the ad in the Gazette again. I don't think it ever showed up on Town Hall. Dr. Sarli, do you know how we could get it to be on the town website?
We could send it to them to post it. Yes, we can send it.
Ask them if they'd put it up. Okay.
Sure.
And then did we have a third? Oh, and our website, a notice on our website. And maybe last time, did we send it in a blast to everyone in the school?
I
Yeah.
believe we did.
Yeah,
I think
I-
so too.
Yeah.
So we could do that again?
We do have a Facebook also.
We do.
Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna have to find it. I have never seen that. If you could put it there, that would be great.
Okay.
And we need to have somebody in place by March 22nd. 1, 2, 3, 4, which would be our Board of Ed meeting. So we wouldn't have to have a special meeting unless people want one. Do you think you'd like a special meeting?
Rose, can I just ask, like, why not? Like, if they have to be in place before her, maybe say the dates again. Maybe I missed it. I'm kind of tired, but is it, so if we voted on it next meeting, that would be okay?
That would be the very last time we could.
Okay,
Yeah, we have a
So,
month to. Yes, Dave?
so we're gonna change the process. We're not gonna interview candidates.
No, we would do the interviews at the Board of Ed meeting.
We're
I
gonna
think,
do-
I think that's too late. It took us quite a while to get through those interviews, and if we had a storm or something on the 22nd, we'd be blowing the whole process.
Think we
I
should
think
have
we need a
separate
special
meeting.
meeting.
Okay, I'm okay with that. Would the 15th work
Yes.
for people?
Yeah, if you get the thing posted soon, so people have a chance to read it and respond, you know?
Well, I think I could give them 2 weeks if we post it. Well, let's say we post it by Monday. Then 2 weeks. 2 weeks would be the 13th, which is a Monday, and if we're gonna meet the 15th, then that I think would give time. And they can respond anytime. They don't have to wait until the 13th to respond.
And it'll get
I think
posted.
2 weeks.
Hopefully we can get it out so it gets posted in the Gazette for this month.
If, I'll say something to that because I'm on that board.
Okay,
If you can get it out there before, let me see, today's what, 22, before the 24th. Actually, tomorrow or Friday, the sooner the better.
But
It'll go into the March issue.
I think we got it in the Gazette last time.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, good. Okay, I'll just use the same blurb, but change the dates to fit this. And the other thing that changes is it doesn't have to be a non-Democrat. Some people would think it should be a Democrat because we're losing a Democrat. But I hate to limit who can apply and then not have enough people apply. So I'll just say it could be anyone.
And make the deadline the 15th and then we interview
maybe
on the 15th.
mention that
Okay, we'll start with Dave. Dave, I need a day or two to set up a schedule, so I don't think we can have the deadline be the 15th. How about if it's the 13th? Would that be all right?
That's fine, you know, that's fine.
Okay. Mary Ellen?
I forgot what I was saying.
Sorry, Mary Ellen.
That's easy to have happen.
Yeah. What time will the meeting be? It'll be in person.
Yeah,
On the 15th,
yeah, on the
Yeah.
15th. In-person worked last time, didn't it?
What time?
I guess, yeah, I guess we can be in person. And would people prefer 7 or 6:30?
6:30 myself.
That's fine. Because
So we
like
do-
Mary Ellen said, it could take a while, depends, you know.
do we need some time to prep though, like if we're gonna do our typical review the questions that we wanna ask and then figure out who's gonna ask which?
So we could do that from 6:30 to 6:45, and then hold interviews. I think it lasted about 15 minutes at the longest last time. Some
Yep.
people had 3 or 4 minutes. Yeah.
Right?
Okay, so let's plan on that. 6:30.
I remember
Yes,
I remember what I was gonna say. It should, in the article or the blast or whatever, we should say the term, which would be, I believe, until the election in November.
yes, you're right. We should say that.
Yeah, until
Can-
November 2023.
Can you email me
Yes.
that?
Just another thought, Rose.
Well, I'll answer Sam. Yes, I can email that to you. Yes, Dave?
Thank you.
Do you have the list of the ones that we interviewed before? There was a couple that couldn't make it.
The ones who couldn't make it dropped out. So I think if they wanted to,
Okay, all right.
then they should re-notify me.
Yep,
Yeah,
don't go after them. All right.
okay. 6:30 for us, then 15 minutes each. Okay, so I will send out, well, first of all, we'll post the meeting real soon, so I don't forget. And then I'll send out a schedule once I have it.
Our-
Okay, so we,
Our regular
Yes,
meeting,
Diane?
I'm sorry, in March, our regular meeting's on the 24th, you said?
no, the 22nd,
The 22nd.
as long as it's not a leap year, March has the same days as February.
Okay. So,
Yeah,
okay, so we have 5 Wednesdays in March.
we do.
Mm-hmm. That's the senior lunch, David.
The
What, the
15th?
22nd? Oh, the
15th.
15th is?
Yep.
Yep. Okay,
Okay,
we'll be all right, I think.
Oh, yeah, we will.
okay, great. We'll move on to presentation and discussion of policy numbers 4113.12 and 5114.4. And we will ask Dr. Sarli to discuss those with us.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again because that was sent out yesterday evening or this morning. I can't remember. So I'm gonna share my screen because I think it's just easier for folks to see it. And if I'm wrong, you tell me. So the 4113 is the minimum duty-free lunch periods for teachers. This was passed through the July legislation. It's a required policy for us to add to our existing policies. And it's very straight and to the point. It's pretty easy to read, so I don't anticipate anyone having questions, although I can answer them, but it's that we will provide a minimum of 30 minutes uninterrupted lunch period for teachers and certified staff. So that is that one. Are there any questions before I move into the next one? Which, by the way, had to be in place for this year, so we are in accordance with this. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions on my screen, Rose, so I'm going to move into the next one, if that's okay. And that's the
Yeah.
5-1.
Be great.
Okay, great. So now we're at 5144.4. This is a policy that we do have. And so there were some updates available that, or not available, updates that were required to make. The biggest one being the loss of recess as a disciplinary consequence. So I'm just scrolling to that blurb right there so you can see it. And
My screen isn't changing, Dr. Sarli.
oh, you guys can't see my screen?
No.
Oh,
We're still on the lunch breaks.
Yeah,
Can you see the loss of recess as, oh, you still see that one. Okay, hold on. I think I know what happened. I'm sorry. Can you see it now?
Yes.
yes.
Okay, I apologize for that. Thanks for letting me know. So This is the newest addition that we have to change, because what it states is that students consequences will not be in the form of physical discipline, and that also means that the loss of time, particularly recess time, and that's a past practice. So students must have a devoted 20 minutes each day to physical exercise. That's for us, for elementary school students. Ours is 30 minutes. So we back into the 30-minute lunch with a 30-minute recess. So if there's any questions in what that looks like for us, sometimes students, what it correlates to us in our elementary section is that sometimes during recess or at other times of the day, students may not be working with their peers well. They might be, you know, there's different reasons that a student would lose recess time. Sometimes they're unsafely utilizing scissors or crayons or things of that nature. And so because we do have 30 minutes, it is possible that a student might lose 10 minutes of recess for a reteach. It's a positive restorative practice that we utilize, so students are relearning safe ways to engage in play or other parts of their day. And then they would be provided that 20-minute uninterrupted devoted recess time. So that's just an example to help you kind of understand where this is, what this looks like for us in a school day. And I would be open to taking any questions. The last time this policy was approved was December of 2019. So this would be a revision to that based off of the legislation that requires us to do so. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Is this first read? Because usually what we have been doing is we do first read, one board meeting, and a month later we do final approval.
Yep, this is just the first read, Mary Ellen.
So can I make a motion to approve policy number 4113.12 and 5144.4 first read?
We don't approve first reads, do we? No,
No,
we just
not
read
typically.
them. Yeah, we read them and then have the motion at the next
Okay.
meeting. But thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to discussion of school security. So we need a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussion of school security.
So moved. I'll
second it.
Okay, so Diane and Mark. And I'll call you as you show up on my screen. So Mary Ellen?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Mark?
Oh, yes.
Matthew?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And Ann? That was a yes. Okay. All right, so we're entering executive session at 7:53. So we have to ask, oh, we forgot to invite Dr. Sarli. Would that work for people if we invite Dr. Sarli? You can just say yes or
Yes.
Yes.
whatever. Okay.
Thank you. And Rose, I just want to say, Kay Garrison, I'm not too sure who you are, but I'm just going to have to move you into the waiting room while we go into executive session. Oh, it's Kyra. Hi, Kyra. I'm just going to have to move you into the waiting room, or you're free to sign off if that's easier for you.
Okay.
Okay.
And the same with Ramona and Sam.
Yes. So Mona, I'll move you into the waiting room, and Sam, you're free to sign off. I'm just going to move Mona into waiting room, and I'm going to pause the recording.
So the board has returned to regular session at 8:18 PM. And we're letting people back in. Is that everyone coming
Yes,
back
we're all
in?
set. We're all set.
And it's no longer with us.
Anne? So Anne left at like 8:18, or did she leave before?
Say 8:10.
8:10, okay. Okay, so we'll move on to committee and liaison reports. Communications,
We actually didn't meet in yet this month. I don't know if we'll meet next Tuesday. We talked about maybe the 28th, but we haven't locked down a date yet.
okay, great, thanks. And finance and operations,
Yes, sir. We did meet last Thursday, primarily still discussing the options of doing heat pump heating system to replace basically what we have now. We had 3 companies, 2 of which are probably the more feasible options, and we are reaching out to them. There's kind of a list of things that would be helpful for us to make a final decision on the 2 companies. So Mary Ellen, as always, has been doing a Herculean effort on this and volunteered to go reach out to them to try to get that information. And then we need to compile that, as well as one thing, Mary Ellen, I was thinking, I guess we don't have to talk about it here, but like John had some questions. It might be good to have everybody on the committee, or anybody on the board for that matter, if they have questions, I'd like to try to get them compiled, because what I don't want is the constant 1 or 2 more questions type of thing. Like, at some point we have to make a decision and try to figure this out. So I just want to make sure we have everything on the table so that we can get those concerns answered, and then, potentially move forward. I mean, I appreciate the concerns, and I want to make sure everybody's concerns are, understood and addressed, but at the same time, it can't be, all right, well, I have one more concern, let this go for 3 years. So anyway, we'll talk more at the F&O meeting, but so that's one of the topics. The budget, obviously, we've been working as a board together on, so we didn't necessarily discuss that too much more at our meeting. And we'll probably be picking up the 5-year plan and trying to get that a little bit polished off again and put it forward to the full board for approval. I think that covered everything we talked about.
great. Policies met and talked about the policies that were presented today. Ad hoc job description committee meeting, we didn't meet. I'm not sure why. The ad hoc minority recruitment did not meet. And the ad hoc superintendent's evaluation subcommittee didn't meet. But it reminds me, Dr. Sarli, we refer to the meetings that we're having as DEI, and I can't remember what that stands for.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay. Thank you. CABE, our CABE representative left the board, so she won't be giving us a report. And EastCon.
Yeah, because of the month starting on a Wednesday, our EastCon board meeting, it will be after this board meeting, both in February and in March. we do have meetings every 2 weeks for finances, and we continue to have a good report on that.
Great, thank you. Additions to the agenda. Does anyone have anything to add to the agenda?
I wondered if we wanted to try to vote on the two other sets of minutes that we had, December 21 and February 15th. We tabled December 21 last month, and we had a special meeting on February 15th. And we got the minutes in our packets.
What packets?
Emails,
Well-
we had, both of those sets of minutes had been emailed to us. I think that's what you meant, Mary Ellen, right?
Yeah.
They were emailed when?
To
Long
board
time-
members,
Long time ago or recent?
no, recent.
Okay,
I don't know. I pulled them off. I don't know the actual dates.
would
Recently.
people be comfortable voting on those?
I know I saw the one for the 15th. I don't remember the other one right now, but
All right,
what was
Why
the
don't
other meeting?
the regular board meeting on December 21?
Yeah. We could.
Yeah, I
I'm not
actually have
with-
it right here. That one was emailed out by Ramona.
Well, that's recent then.
Yeah, she emailed, she emailed it out on January 26th. And then the other one was emailed just like 2 weeks ago.
We can wait on next month if you want. It's
Yeah,
just a
let's-
little bit ahead.
Put them on the agenda for next month then.
Yeah, we'll try to remember to get it on the agenda.
Okay.
Mary Ellen, could you just repeat those dates?
Sure. December 21, 2022 and February 15th, 2023.
Thank you.
Any other additions to the agenda? Okay. Next agenda planning, one of the things will be the minutes of December 21 and February 15th. Anything else?
Can
you think it's-
we, can maybe send something, send a letter of thank you or something to Anne?
I've been remiss. We've had lots of people leave the board and I haven't sent anything to anyone, so would it be fair to start sending one to Anne? Neil Moon left, Russ Moffett. I'm trying to think of, well, you know what? I could work on sending them all a letter. Better late than never.
Well, I think after 20 years, we should send her a letter.
Matt, did you send something to Neil or Russ? I vaguely
I'm
remember. you
trying to remember the
sent
last one I sent
something.
to. I didn't even think of it. It's been a long time since I've sent one, as board secretary. I'm trying to remember the last person I actually sent one to from who resigned. But no, I didn't send one to Neil or Russ.
Okay,
What if we got a thank you card and signed it next time we meet in person and actually mail it in the mail to her?
We do have a meeting the 15th. We could do that.
That's right.
okay, I'm
That'd be
happy with
nice.
that. Yeah,
We
I think
could,
that'd
we
be
could
very
do that for
nice.
Neil, Russ, and Ann.
Yes, we could. And then we have people who left the board because their terms were up.
True.
But they didn't run again. So,
Oh, okay.
Or we
Okay.
can start that tonight, today's date, starting today.
Okay,
How about that?
One or the other. Sure.
Makes it easier if we start it today.
I like making life easier.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. Okay. Card. And how about on to audience for citizens and staff? Are there any citizens or staff who would like to say something? The board is not lighting up.
Rose,
Yes, Dave.
I do have a concern.
Okay.
And the concern is John Russell didn't attend the meeting tonight, and I don't think he's getting any emails. I think he's got a problem with his computer, an IT issue. And I don't know whether it's his computer or the link between him and the school or email address or what. I don't know. Something's not right there.
Yeah, he's not getting anything.
He's not getting any emails from his
No.
school address.
Correct.
So I think we need to be sending them also to his personal address. I know
agree.
Diane requires emails sent to her personal address. So anytime I send one to both. Because I have that concern about FOI. But we could do the same for John, is anytime we send an email out, send one to his regular, to his personal email and his school email.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Do we have it? No, he's on F&O and I've been sending out a lot of responses from companies. Maybe he hasn't gotten any of them.
He has not gotten any of them.
Oh, so that's not good. Can somebody send us his personal email address?
I don't have that.
Somebody's gonna have to make contact with him.
I will look, I
You got a
might
home
have,
phone number for him, right?
I
Somehow.
Yeah,
might have his personal email from when he applied to be on the Board of Ed.
There you go.
So let me go back and look for that, and then I will send that out.
Because, the concern is like tonight, I thought Diane said that he drove to the school. And
He
if he
did.
got an email, he would have known that it was a Zoom meeting, I don't think he's
Correct.
getting any emails at all. I don't.
yeah, and I didn't call him to tell him it was Zoom because I was at Dana's with Felix. They were heading back home from court, and everything went well today.
Good. But we
Mhm.
don't want that personal stuff as part of our,
No, I'm
Good.
just saying, that's why I forgot to call. I would have called him and told him it was being Zoomed before he left the house.
yeah. Okay,
I don't know what to do, Rose. I just ask you, if maybe you can help somehow,
thank you.
He
Yeah,
is a board member. We want him to participate. We don't want him to become discouraged right off the bat, And I'm kind of getting
I
the feeling
agree.
that could be happening.
Well, he
Okay.
was pretty ticked tonight.
He was ticked tonight?
Yeah, he was ticked off. Yes, that he drove there for nothing.
Well, it's just bad communications going on. Some of it has to do with that, his not being able to get the emails, I guess.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They got to go to his phone.
Well, not necessarily his phone.
I mean,
his
yes, his
his
email. I'm sorry.
personal.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, well, let's take care of that.
Sounds
Thank you
like a
for pointing.
plan.
Thank you for pointing it out, Dave. Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So it's Diane and do we have a second?
I could second it.
Dave, Diane and Dave. Okay, Mary Ellen,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Matthew,
Yes.
Diane.
Yes.
The motion carries unanimously, and we are adjourning as of 8:34.